Welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. We're going to make this life so good because some of our best days haven't even happened yet. So let's get to it.
We feed these clouds of collective belief systems, and the cloud of lack is being fed every time you say, well, when I have enough money, or well, when this happens, well, when this does done, right? And it's just fed, right? Through your own energy, through your own belief systems, through your thoughts. And then what happens, because now you're connected to that collective consciousness of lack, it starts feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. And guess what? Now you're stuck in lack consciousness because you're giving and receiving, because that is the law of the universe. It's all about giving and receiving.
Wow.
Yeah. And what are you feeding?
Hello, and welcome to the show. Y'all, I am so excited, okay? Because this is a subject that I have wondered about. I have bought books, well, really this book in particular, and we're going to talk to the author today, but it is on Akashic Records. And I am so encouraged by her methods and everything that she teaches. And I cannot wait to learn more today because I reached out to her and I was like, please, will you come on the show? And she said yes. So let's welcome Melissa Feick. Melissa is a multidimensional trance channel, a spiritual teacher, and the creator of the Quantum Akashic Records methodology through her Spiritual Expansion Academy. She's also the host of the Spiritual Expansion and Ascension Podcast, where she explores high vibration metaphysics, consciousness, and mystical experiences. And she is the author of what I just held up, A Radical Approach to the Akashic Records, Master Your Life and Raise Your Vibration. And I haven't gotten into this one yet because I still got to read the first one, but I'm holding it because I'm excited. Quantum Akashic Records Manifesting, Unlocking the Spiritual Keys to Wealth, Success, and Limitless Growth. And can I just shout that she's in Sedona? So if you go to Sedona, maybe, you can look her up or something like that. But one of my favorite places in the world and most magical places. Seems like a great place to be for you, Melissa. And I just want to say welcome to the show. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for saying yes. So
Thank you, Amy. You're amazing. I appreciate you. And this is fun. I like that you're excited about it because this is a really juicy topic and there are so many layers and levels to it.
okay, well, let's start in the shallow end of the juicy topic because I am very much a novice. When someone asked me recently, like, what is it? What is it, Akashic Records? And I was like, it, and I just didn't have the right go-to elevator, response. So can you just start there for all of us newbies, please?
Right. That's great. So the Akasha itself is a conscious energy system. And the Vedas talk a lot about the Akasha, and then they talk about the Akashic records. So think about it. There are levels to the records. I'll go into that in a minute. But basically, it's a library of all experiences across time and space. The earth itself holds very specific records. Those records are just of past lives that people have had, lifetimes, history, also collective consciousness experiences, race consciousness experiences, wars, peacetime, famines. So basically, it is literally the bigger picture of the earth from its inception. So the earth's a lot older than people think, but since its inception. Now, the thing is with the earth records, most people tap into these Akashic records for the earth plane to understand themselves a little bit more, to connect to those pieces of themselves because they're like, wait a minute, I don't feel like all of this just happened in this lifetime. Like, what else is there? What other things that I experience as a soul?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just give you that definition first. This is ancient, by the way. The Vedas are the Hindu spiritual or sacred texts. So they're old And this comes from them. And then what we do is we're connecting with that energy to help us navigate as humans on the earth plane, dealing with our own issues, our emotions, what comes up for us, and also our relationships, because in those records, we also have all the relationships that we've had, the karmic lessons that we have within those relationships, and the karmic contracts as well.
Wow. I mean, a lot of that rings a bell. I've heard
Yeah.
people talk about karmic contracts and all those things. And I guess that was kind of where my interest, I don't know that my interest was even so much about getting to know me. It was more like, do we all have this connected cosmic consciousness? What is that? What's that like? I think that my whole curiosity around it was a little bit broader, than just my own specific. Do you feel like you started out? I'm kind of curious how you got into it. And do you feel like you started out with more that specific interest of your own path or your own history, and then it got broader?
Well, two things. That's why you were attracted to this book, Amy, because this
Really?
is more of a broader experience. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. Because what I explained to you were the earth records. I work in the quantum records.
Yes.
Different frequency, different energies, different, it holds different information, although it does hold earth records. But to go back to your question, where did I start? To be really transparent, I've been doing this almost my whole life.
Wow.
I was in high school, like serious about astrology and also psychology. So I was so ingrained in that, and I was interested in it, and I was learning everything I could in that. And then I started to read any book I could get on esoteric topics through mostly college and after college. So I've been into this a really long time. And then I learned about past lives. And yes, when I was in my early 20s, I did research and look into that. But now, how I see it now, and we'll get to the broader picture if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Yeah.
The broader picture is that there are quantum records, and those are the records of all the planetary systems, all the wars that have happened, all the different systems, how the Earth was literally created, how the galaxies were created. And it comes from the quantum realm. And the reason it comes from the quantum is because within the quantum is the blueprint of every system within our galaxy. I believe, you don't have to believe me, but my belief system is that there are other quantum realms with other galaxies and other systems. But for ours, the quantum holds the blueprint of everything that's created within our existence, within our perception and beyond, obviously, because we're really on the precipice of what's possible.
Wow.
So I was shown what happened was I was downloaded with this full download, and that's the book. And they were like, we want you to work in the Akashic Records. And I, of course, being the rebel I am, I was like, no, I don't do past lives. Like, no. And they're like, no, don't you understand? Like, they were showing me all the karmic patterns and how we're in this place of like going lifetime after lifetime, trying to heal all these past frequencies, all the lower states of consciousness, that old system is no longer going to work, that we have to look at a larger system and transcend those energies on a larger scale. And that is how that all came about. I wasn't looking for it. Actually, I denied it at first, mostly because I didn't want it to be about past lives. I was like, that's passe, you know? And they were like, no, if we can help people transcend those lower states of consciousness as a bigger pattern, then we are helping the collective as we evolve as a species and evolve our consciousness, our brains, and our bodies.
See, that makes a lot of sense to me. I have a lot of trouble verbalizing what I think about past lives, but it goes something like, we all had the same past lives and we're all part of this bigger consciousness. And maybe if you tune into one, that's just one little part of this whole, and you just happen to be tuned into it. So does that make any sense? I feel like it kind of goes with what you just said about the lower levels of being and just upgrading into those higher levels.
Yes, absolutely. If I can, I'll give you a little bit of the same perspective, but in a little bit of a different way.
Probably a better way. Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, I see this like the being that you see in front of you, right? The people.
Mm-hmm.
We are a fractal of 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 our whole being.
Trippy. Yeah.
On and on and on, right? Right. So because of that, we have access to all those other fractals of our wholeness. And we have access to their memories, their experiences, and what they've come here to do, or what other systems they were on, or what their experience, whatever, their lifetimes, or who knows, some people weren't even beings at one point. There are all sorts of possibilities out there. So we have connection to all of that. Although I feel that we bring in the energies that are going to align us with what we need for our own soul evolution and for our soul mission, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. And one of the things that I found encouraging, first of all, I love that you call it a radical approach. I'm not very far into it, unfortunately. I'm slow. I go slow with books, but I am enjoying it very much. But you basically are teaching anyone how to tap into this. So I want anyone listening to know, like, your philosophy is like, you don't have to go seek it from somewhere else, which I love that. I'm a big believer in going straight to the divine or consciousness or whatever it is. So, our connection with God is within us, that kind of thing. What do you have to say to that?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone knows things. I mean, I do believe that there are times that some people want to learn different things or experience different things. And I think if it resonates with you and you want to dive deeper, go for it. If you want to just figure out on your own, absolutely you can do it. I know many, many people who have emailed me or called me or talked to me and said, I now am able to do this and this and this in the records. That book is about clearing the higher karmic patterns and the frequencies that are holding us back from anchoring in our higher self. And that's what everybody's really looking for. They're not looking for the new car or the relationship or the, I don't know, whatever else everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
Or
money,
happy.
whatever. Yeah.
Money. Yeah. Or a happiness. Really, it's all about us and being more and true to who we truly are instead of our egoic self, which is going to be passé in the near future. Not soon enough, unfortunately, but
not
soon.
soon enough. No, not soon enough, but I'm glad it's going to happen at some point. When you say clearing patterns and frequencies, like, what does that mean? It means all the things we're doing to ourselves in our own mind, really, right? And just unconsciously even following. Like, what are some examples if somebody's confused by that phrase?
Yeah, so I really look at the lower states of consciousness.
Yeah.
And lower states of consciousness are usually actually traumas. And remember, this is very important. The definition of a trauma for me is any time the body felt unsafe. So you could walk into kindergarten and feel unsafe. You could hold an anchor in and freeze a trauma in your energy fields. So those lower states of consciousness of anger, hurt, pain, sorrow, grief, those lower states of consciousness gets frozen in the energy field and it develops into subconscious programming. And guess where we all come from? Our subconscious programming.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have this unique ability to see the entanglements for people of all the entanglements of all the places that they are holding lower states of consciousness. And it can come from past lives. Absolutely can come from your DNA sequencing. Absolutely. It also comes from your own life. Because between the ages of 0 to 7, you are in an alpha theta brainwave state, which means you are being programmed and programmed and programmed at that level. So those programs are your subconscious programming. So when I say that I help people clear that, and you can learn this from the book, by the way, what I'm talking about is clearing multidimensionally. So according to the quantum records, they say that we clear in the mental, physical, emotional bodies, in the DNA itself, in the cellular memory, along the genetic line, your DNA, or your genetics, mean your parents, and in the Quantum Akashic Records. And that's why people feel so different after doing this, because they've cleared things that they didn't even know were all a tangled mess within the energy system. And then what happens is those lower states of consciousness are so dense in material. It's a dense material. The higher self can't get through that density. So what happens is, as you clear the things, the higher self is able to become more present in the self.
Mm-hmm. And then what? Then what happens?
I mean, girl, we're still evolving. There's no end game. There's no end game.
No, there's
Not like,
not.
oh, now I'm enlightened. Yay.
I know. But
Excellent.
I wonder, so does it make us in that next level, we're just more light and connected? Is that
Yes.
seems to me that's been my journey, like clearing that stuff for me and moving into this lightness that's almost hard to bear sometimes, and especially when you look around in the world, there's a lot. I wonder, how do you make sense of, things that happen in the world, crimes, serial killers, like things like that? Is it just that's what manifested in that fractal and that's just some dense energy?
Yeah. There's many levels to that. And yes, I agree. Like, what happens is you start experiencing higher states of consciousness, like oneness, bliss, love. It doesn't mean if something happens, you won't cry, right? For most of us, we're still human. We still have that human side of us, and it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. You are less reactionary, right? As you've probably experienced yourself. And what happens when all these lower states of consciousness of other energies outside of you, they happen because we still live in duality. I mean, I wish that wasn't the case, but it's true. We live in duality. So in duality, we're still in that 3D expression, and those lower energies are still there. But it doesn't mean that that frequency may not change eventually. So we don't know if that person will be aware all of a sudden and start to change their own energy and their belief systems and what's going on. Right now, this is the wobbly time. We're in the tumultuous, wobbly experience because 3D egoic expression is having trouble with all the higher frequencies that are coming in. So all it's doing is trying its best to hold on to the old paradigm. And, it's not the most pleasant experience, but most people who are on the spiritual path in some way or another, they've come here because of that. They've come here to experience that. And, you know, I always tell people the best thing that you can do, a few things. First and foremost, constantly clear your energy. Clear your energy, clear your thought forms. Clear your energy, clear your thought forms, because most spiritual people are empaths and they will take on the frequencies of this lower energies. And then the other thing is ask yourself, like, who am I being in this moment? And um and and every morning just do some heart exercises to open up your heart, because that's what we need more of in this world, is just heart frequency and heart coherence.
Agreed. Agreed. I interviewed some people that did heart meditations and they were fantastic. It was very, very interesting. And, that rings true for me, exactly what you said. Just like getting still even and noticing, I think, is even to just back up even further, like, oh, I'm in this cycle. Um, I'm wondering too, you talk a lot about dimensions. Where does time and timelines fall in that, in the Akasha or the Akashic field?
Yeah, well, there are always timeline possibilities. Because we still live in 3D, we tend to vibe with similar timelines because we're all in 3D expressions. But even if you shift a perspective, like all of a sudden, I never believed in fairies. And now all of a sudden, like, I saw one and I know I saw one, and you can't tell me I didn't see one. Now all of a sudden, I believe in fairies. That changed my perspective. Now I'm on a possible new timeline just from that little difference in perception, right? So it doesn't have to be, people think a timeline has to be like this huge jump. It can be a difference in perspective. But on the um, dimensional level, now there's a difference between dimensions, planes of existence, and all these other places, but we'll just go with dimensions for now.
Okay.
Um, Basically, because I see
That's
infinite.
so cool, by the way. That's so cool. Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you
Yeah,
say?
there's infinite dimensions. So I could be living, I mean, I feel like I live in three dimensions, different dimensions all the time. And I'm pretty grounded. But I do that because I'm always in the records, always listening. I'm always paying attention to energy and what's going on around me. And I'm also in the 3D expression. So anyway, it's possible to do all of those things and be grounded at the same time. You don't have to be flying out. So timelines are all about the energy shifts. And most people are talking about the timelines from 3D to 5D, basically, because this is all about the ascension. I've been hearing about the assumption and studying it and being involved in it since the late 90s. Like, it is not new. It's just now it's the momentum is very quick and very fast. We're used to drive like those old jalopies, and now we're on the rocket ship, right? So that's how quickly things are shifting. What happens is, as we move from 3D expression to 5D expression, we are shifting into timelines. But what's happening for a lot of people, this is according to the Ascension Councils, they just work with the Ascension for the Earth plane right now. According to them, a lot of people are like jumping into 5D and jumping out into 3 and jumping into 5. So they're almost like straddling two timelines as well, which can also be confusing, which can also cause people some unsureness and, wait, what am I doing? But we are really hoping to for the majority of our consciousness beings who are incarnated on earth now, for us to move into the timeline where we are more in unity consciousness and less in separation, more in caring, heart-centered love, and less in control and fear. And because of this split, supposedly, now this is something that I hear, I don't really necessarily believe it, but like, some people will go into the earth plane on this dimension and some will go on this dimension. I see it where, if it does, like the new dimensional frequencies of the new timeline, if you don't vibe with it, most likely you will go to a new planetary system that you will vibe with. So, although if you believe in parallel realities, which I do as well, there's another thought to it. This is the problem, right? There are all these theories. Nobody really knows. Like, I can sound like I'm an expert at this, but in truth, there are theories and possibilities. And I don't like to be like, this is the only way, because there's possibilities. So there is a possibility of what people are saying, like 3D Earth and 5D Earth. And, they're different in different dimensions, different realities. And that can happen. That has happened on Venus, and that has happened, I maybe the moon. I can't remember now, but I definitely know Venus it's happened in. So Venus no longer can hold 3D expression. So however they shifted timelines into the timeline when now Venus is at the 6th dimension, no longer at 3-dimensional frequencies.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's possibilities in that, but timelines are really about perception. So that's the bigger picture. In the microcosm of self, the most important thing you want to know is, do you like the trajectory you're going? Does it feel in alignment to you? If you do, keep your focus on that and your energy on what you're trying to create. And I find that a lot of people do not focus on what they want to create. Please focus on what you want to create. And if you feel like the trajectory of what's happening in your life is just kind of going off kilter a little bit, you can say, wait a minute, this timeline doesn't feel in alignment. What do I need to do, or what do I need to experience to go to a timeline that's more in alignment with who I'm choosing? And why I say experience is because it's not about this doing aspect, because you can't make the timelines happen. It's a consciousness energy. And if you don't vibe with that consciousness, you won't be on that timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it made me think of Dark Matter, if you've read that book, or, seen the show. It's all about their consciousness when they open a door and choose a timeline. And I found that just so fascinating, like from a quantum level, like how much control we have. Like, and, as you were talking about possibilities, I think that when I said I was interested in it in a broader sense, I think there is some part of me that's like, I want answers, and like so many of us seek answers because we don't know anything. And that's why we love the finality of maybe movies or some stories, because we just don't have those answers. And so when you say you're always in the records and you're always listening, like, what does that mean? Because it sounds like you would be gaining knowledge and answers, but maybe it's just more learning. I don't know.
But all those answers are correct. That's the difference.
There's no wrong answer.
No, because only in duality is there a right or wrong.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, because that is what the dichotomy is.
Yeah.
So on the higher perspective, on the higher frequencies, there's only now. So what happened 2 minutes ago when we were having this conversation in a different way? Does that no longer matter? Is that no longer part of it? Right? We used to call this brain candy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, right. So, right. And this is the thing. The ego is like, I need to know, because if I know, then I feel safe.
Right. Yes.
And the fun part is I'm going to walk into the unknown and be excited about whatever that is. And yes, the thing is that parallel Earths, true. Because if everything's happening at once, there was an Earth timeline when there was no World War II, or there's an Earth timeline when we did UFO disclosure in the 1950s. So those things are true. And they are also possibilities at the same time.
Yes. I mean, so many times you think if you can conceive of it, it is possible. It is a possibility. There it is, right? And so many times things hit in the collective. People think of things at the same time around the world. Um, Interesting too that you brought up like alien disclosure or UFO disclosure. And, we have so much of that pressing right now. And I don't know, I'm thinking that probably goes along with what you're talking about when we talk about the enlightening. And so it sounds to me too, the way you describe it about the ego holding on to what's known, right? That's this holding on to not accept it or something like that, right? Um, are we almost there with that? What do you think?
Oh, I think see, this is the problem. There, no matter what is said in disclosure, there will always be people say that the earth is flat.
Right, right.
There will always be people who need it to be a no for them. So they will try to convince everyone, because misery loves company. They'll try to convince everyone else that that is not true, that it's AI, that and the reality is that, I mean, beings have been coming here for a very long time. The thing is, we have been gaslit for a long time as well, saying that none of these things are true, none of these things can happen, and that we're all stupid idiots.
Mhm.
Now people are like, well, no, we're not. Show us. And yeah, they're dripping disclosure. And, will it satisfy everyone? Probably not.
No.
They say, oh, we're showing this video now. Okay. Okay. Now we are okay with that. But a lot of the mainstream people, they really don't know what is out there. And even if the government has talked about this, because I've asked people who are not on the spiritual path, I asked them, like, do you believe in aliens? And what do you think about all the things that have come up since 19, um, 90, whatever, I can't remember, 2017. That's right.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they're like, I have no idea. They're like, what? No, there's nobody, they never said anything. No, there's no such thing.
What? Are they not
There
paying
is.
attention?
Well, there you go, because they listen only to the things that their timeline will feel safe in.
I see. That's really interesting and really weird too, to think that you're communicating with someone who's operating in a different timeline.
They are. They're absolutely operating in different timeline, because it's too much for them. Because most people are just in survival mode. They're just trying to survive the world. And, they're more interested in knowing trivia questions than the questions of the universe and how things are created and what energy really is and how do people really communicate through telepathy.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I listened to the telepathy tapes. Have you listened to that podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very interesting. I highly recommend it to anyone. And it really forces you to rethink everything. I mean, the layperson, I suppose, you were probably like, yep. And yeah, it's super, super fascinating to just allow, right? To just allow that we don't know and anything is possible. So,
Yeah.
are you able to communicate that way? Like when you're in the Akashic Records or something like that, do you have that ability? Is that something that people can learn?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was told back in like 2010 that I was telepathic. And I said, reading people's minds. I'm like, no. Every time you see test, we're using telepathy. And I was like, oh, so it's a full, how I see it is telepathy is a full visceral experience. So it's not just hearing, it's like seeing, knowing, it's like a whole experience. That's why you can get a full download. And really what those children or humans, people, what they're experiencing when they're experiencing telepathy is really the new human. We
I
don't
mean,
need to be,
yeah.
right. We don't need to be using, but it's hard. We don't need to be using the vocal cords. Any being I've ever met, even deceased loved ones that I've talked to, none of them use vocal cords. None. Even
Wow.
beings that I've seen that look like, 3D, they don't use that. They only communicate through a full experience. And that's where we're supposed to be headed. That's where we are headed. But, we buck against it because we want to understand it first. And therein lies the problem. When we want to understand something so much, our ego gets involved,
Mm-hmm.
and our higher self is our telepathic part.
Yeah, that's the part I start
It's
laughing at myself. I laugh at myself. I'm like, oh, of course you want the answer, but we're never going to know everything. Or like if we can just relax in that uncomfortable space is a big part of it, I feel like. Do you? Yes. Yes. Okay. So practically speaking, if someone's like, I want to do this, where do they begin?
do like telepathy or
No. Oh, I'm sorry. If I want to be able to spend time in the Akashic Records and learn there or be in that field.
the records are right here. I teach a certification class for people who
Hmm.
can read and do the healing in the records, in the quantum records. And they do the same thing. They're like, well, am I there? How do I get there? What do I do? Well, I do give a roadmap. I do give a roadmap for those who are logical thinkers, because I'm a logical thinker and I get it. But think about it. The quantum field isn't some far off entity out in the ethers somewhere. It's right here. It's literally right here. Like it's touching me. It's right here. So it's a shift in perspective. And that's the easiest thing. But what happens is people spend too much time in here where this is the most dangerous place you can live in your thought process because your egoic self will constantly question, want to perfect, and want to sabotage your connection to your higher self. Your higher self is right here. The quantum field right here, the record's right here. So all you really have to do is just stay present, clear your thought forms. That's the first thing I always teach. Clear your thought forms, and then you go into your heart space. Stay out of here, heart, and just say, if I knew, what would it tell me? And that's it.
I love that.
I'm hoping someday that it will be so anchored in the consciousness of the human that my book will be obsolete, right? And that's really the goal. Um, Unfortunately, we're still living in 3D, so it's still necessary in a way to get there. But some people will just be like, whoa, I just got this whole understanding of something. And the thing is they do speak through telepathy. So it's not like I just have to get a vision or I just have to see something or I just have to it's like all of a sudden you're just gonna like no see feel and you're gonna be like, boom, I got the whole thing. I downloaded that book, most of what was in there, and even where to use it and what to use it, where to put things in I don't know, a minute or two.
Wow.
Now there were some things, unpack,
Hmm.
but I was like, that's when I had the argument. I was like, no, you're not gonna let me. I'm not gonna do. And they were like, no, but like, do you see where we're going? I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and that makes sense for what my mission is here, right? So yeah,
When you
so
when
anybody can
you
do it.
I just love that so much. I mean, that's I think too why I picked up your book because it was about it's so accessible and That's such a deep belief of mine. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to go buy something, to really know God, consciousness, everything that we need, right? And that's just a big part of my belief system. I'm very curious why you always say thought forms instead of thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is interesting. So one time I was working with a client and I do this healing work, right? So I do quantum Akashic healing and I'm with them and we're trying to work through something that they just would not let go of. They were like, no, I want to hold on to my abuse pattern for the rest of my life. And I'm looking and I said to the records, I was like, just show me what's really going on here because I'm not sure where to go. And they literally showed me all around her head and around her shoulders, like all here, huge amount of these thought forms.
What'd they look like?
All this,
Like little puffs of something or?
yes, exactly.
Cool. Wow.
Exactly. But the thing is that she was accumulating them. She was holding on to them. She was also getting them from the outside and she's also creating them from the inside.
Mm.
And I said, hey, let's just clear some of those things. And things shifted right away as soon as she cleared it. Then the other part, this is kind of cool too. This happened years before. Yeah, I've been doing this so long that I forget when anything happened. My timelines are all messed up. But no lie. Um, but I was talking to my class about lack, and I think this is in my second book. It is in my second book. I was talking to them about lack, and then literally I was shown how we feed these clouds of collective belief systems, and the cloud of lack is being fed every time you say, well, when I have enough money, or well, when this happens, well, when this does done, right? And it's just fed, right? Through your own energy, through your own belief systems, through your thoughts. And then what happens, because now you're connected to that collective consciousness of lack, it starts feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. And guess what? Now you're stuck in lack consciousness because you're giving and receiving, because that is the law of the universe. It's all about giving and receiving.
Wow.
So yeah. And what are you feeding?
It makes total sense. It makes total sense. Like, and we have to watch our thoughts all the time. Do you ever get scared? Do you get fearful? Do you experience fear? Like, what do you do? And what do you do if it comes up?
I'm a pretty adventurous person. I don't really have a lot of fear. No.
I mean, like if you watch the news or anything like that, you ever?
I'm not going to watch I'm not going to watch those lower thought forms because for me to be really transparent, I tell my guides, if there's something I need to know, bring it up for me. It will show me in some way or another. I'm not stupid. And I also recognize I have a mission. And what happened was, this is kind of a funny story. A couple years ago, I started to go down some sort of a rabbit hole. I don't even remember what it was. And all of a sudden, I was literally reprimanded by I work with the Ascension Councils, and they said, that frequency is not your mission. And if you go that way, you will be off your mission. And then right after that, all of a sudden, I something happened with my bank account, and I had all this stuff, and they were like, see, that frequency does not resonate with you. And that is why this happened. So for me, my mission is to hold a certain frequency for the ascension. And what's happening in the 3D, I understand because I'm a human being. I have a lot of compassion and love for people who lose loved ones, people who lose jobs, people who are afraid of this thing or that thing or this thing or that thing. But fear is the ego's playground. Ego loves fear, and it will utilize fear to keep it in charge. And that is what these lower beings, whether they're in human form or not, doesn't matter. They're still holding lower frequencies. They are trying to feed us. Because what is the best way to control humans? Fear. Institutions, religions, schools, that's what we've used forever to control the masses. We're mass. I don't want to be. I'm uncontrollable. It's really hard to control me.
I love that. That resonates for me. I mean, yes. Hell yeah.
I'm a free spirit, baby. Do not. Just do not. Well,
Good for you. So no.
Yeah. I mean, am I afraid? I mean, in full transparency, I actually lost my daughter 6 months ago.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And in that moment, do I feel fear? Yes. But do I live in fear? No. Do I sit there and go, wait a minute, that happened. So that thing, one of my clients was like, oh, if that's something bad happened to you, and I was like, well, I mean, yes, I'm saddened in a deep way, but just because this happened doesn't mean that my mission has changed. And it doesn't mean that I can't be sad sometimes, but I'm also not going to live from a place then bad things happen to everyone. And one of the things this was my level of non-attachment, and to not be attached to like my own stuff around being a parent, and also to model for people that when stuff happens, you can still hold love in your heart, even in tragedy. And it doesn't mean that her birthday was like 2 days ago. Of course I cried.
Oh my gosh.
Of course I did my ritual.
Yeah.
But I also know that she's freer than I am. And I miss her. I miss hugging her. I miss smelling her. That's the weirdest thing. I miss her smell.
Oh, I would too.
But I know that this happened so that it's okay. Even when bad things happen, we can really still be love, even in sometimes sadness or tragedy.
That is very powerful about like really walking the walk of all of it, Melissa, and really living in non-attachment. That is beautiful and powerful. And thank you for sharing that. I got a little touched by that. I have 2 daughters, and like,
you understand.
Wow. Like, wow. Yeah.
Girl, and it's very rare. I mean, just because I think that people hear something like that, and I didn't share it a lot because people started getting really upset with me. Like how dare I have something bad happen to me? But what I realized is that Spirit is telling me that what you have to hold the space of both the sadness and the love at the same time, because I love humans so much that I'm here for all of them. And those who pass on, I'm still part of that too, because my consciousness is there too, hanging out, So it's hard to explain. And don't get me wrong, I did go through a really big grief and loss, but I also stood strong in that my heart was my navigation system.
That's really beautiful. Yes. Yes. And that's as it should be, right? Coming from the heart. And and we do know that she is okay, and they're with you or in our consciousness. And oh wow, that's really, really powerful. And thanks for sharing it, for sure. So all right, so moving back to the practical side. Well, actually, that is a very practical side, what you just said. Like I mean, I think there is an attachment that we have as humans, like with a right way to grieve and to fight against something. And instead, there's a level of non-attachment and acceptance that really truly is on that high spiritual plane, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So, if somebody, I think we were talking about too, if somebody wanted to really find their own Akashic Records path, like how would they start? And it is tapping into the now and the moment and that love field, which is kind of like what you were just saying, right? But accepting our humanity at the same time. It's an interesting balance, or acceptance maybe is a better word than balance.
Yes. Well, we're human. And therein lies what happens with spiritual leaders. They keep saying and putting out there that it's only love and light, that you have to be high vibe and you have to be this and you have to be that. And two things come of that. First of all, it's called spiritual ego. Be careful. That thing is stuffy as heck. The second one is spiritual bypassing, man. We should not be spiritual bypassing. So, like when I'm going through some things, I go inside and I go to my own gut and I just say, well, how does this make me feel? And I'm like, makes me feel really angry. And it's okay. Nothing's wrong with anger. Nothing's wrong with sadness. Nothing is wrong with frustration. Nothing is wrong with those things. But as spiritual people, we're like, well, I'm the goddess and I have to hold goddess energy. So I have to be all love and light or all this. And that is not practical.
Right.
Because you're going to stub your toe and you might say, swear. and it's okay. And it's okay. And the thing is, there's a difference between experiencing something in the moment and anchoring in it and becoming that energy. And that's what we're trying to transcend, is becoming the lower energies. And the more you transcend those lower states and all the traumas and the old energies, the more you're able to bring in your higher self. Then when you do have your human experience and your human moment, you can be like, oh, hi, human. Hey, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while, but boy, are we messed up in the moment. And it's okay. And you meditate, you clear your energy, and you ask yourself, like, what is that? What is this situation showing me about me? Because if you're not self-reflective, what you're going to end up doing is projecting it onto everyone, creating spiritual ego and bypassing. And those are detrimental to the new timeline. Those are detrimental. In reality, we want that energy to bring more of our higher consciousness in and recognize that we still have a physical form and it's still going to have, it's still going to burp and fart.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's right. I mean, this is kind of the hand we've been dealt at the moment, which is just fascinating to me too. I had the privilege of doing a UFO tour when I was on the Big Island in Hawaii with Lisa. I can't think of her last name. I'm sure you know who she is. And I asked her, like, do all the other galactic beings laugh at us? Like, are we the laughing stock because we're, like having this human experience? And she was like, no, actually, we're very respected because it's hard. And I found that really encouraging. Do you agree with that, or what do you say to that?
Yeah. I think that most spiritual people who have incarnated at this time incarnated because they're more of that like adventurous soul. They're one of those, like, I know for me, they were like, hey, do you want to go to the wonkiest time and that like transition between like lower state of consciousness and unity consciousness, I was like, yes, sign me up. And then I come here, I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. But in reality, yes, because it is something most spiritual people who are on the spiritual path, they volunteered for it. And that volunteering, because nobody forces us to do anything. Most of us have been in unity consciousness, understand the multidimensional experience. And even if you don't even know that yet, even if you're just opening up, it's still right there. And you're like, yeah, it's hard. Do they, that's why we have a lot more support now, because they know that we're trying to anchor in a frequency that is being repelled at this time with certain consciousness, right? Like all the weird things that are happening in the world, that's repelling the higher states of consciousness that we're trying to create as spiritual people, as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, and that's why the Ascension Councils that I work with will not tell me anything about my life at all. They only work with me to channel for the ascension to help the collective. And my mission here around that. That's all they'll do. So they're not like, yeah, Melissa, make sure you write that book. No, they're like, write it if you want, do it in that way if that's what feels right, but only if it's for the ascension.
That's so interesting, actually. Like so many people want that guidance of that next thing. And do you find in your work you're able to tell people, oh, yeah, this is the way you should do it? Or does it still sound like that guidance that you get? Like, okay, if that aligns with your bigger path, then go ahead. Like, how does that look? I mean, is it just you, I guess, is the thing, or is that how it functions with everyone?
Well, these specific guides are with people who are specifically here to help the collective in the ascension. But yeah, I mean, yes, I will get that information for sometimes for people. Like, yes, like they'll show me different possibilities in their life. Like if they choose this, it will be this way. If they choose that, it will be that way. I get more of that through the quantum records than I do. The Ascension Councils are different than the records. So yes, I can get that information, or anybody can really tap into that information through their Quantum Akashic Records.
Cool. Wow. When you say the Ascension Council, like, can you give me some clarity on that? I'm interested.
Yeah, it's what. So what will happen is, what's happened for a long time is people are like, how come I feel like there are like 1,000 beings around you? And these were clairvoyants and different people when I'd be channeling. I'm like, I don't know. I always feel like I have an open energy. I just open. And what started happening right around the time that I started I channeled this book, these collective beings. So the thing is, these councils can be, they can be all planetary beings, meaning they could be Lyran, Palladian, Arcturian. They have been. A lot of times they're collective consciousness beings. So all of a sudden I'm hearing like a whole, it sounds like more than one being, but it's only one being because collective consciousness, sometimes it's a Lyran collective. Sometimes it's some other dimensional collective that they won't even name themselves because it's not about that. And the thing is that they'll bring in different pieces depending on what's necessary in the moment. So if they're talking about how the universe is created and the light code frequencies that are being brought in for our ascension process to build our light code energy, our rainbow body, all of that energy, though a different collective and a different set of beings called the builder beings will bring in the information. So I could be talking to 100 people or 100 beings, and then um, it's vast. It's really interesting. Did I think that this was? I don't know. It just started happening, and I just had a pretty open channel, so I think that's why. Uh, and and they're all sorts of beings. I've seen liquid light beings. I've seen literally it just looks like a collective um, thought energy, but they're high vibe. I've been on ships. I've been with the Arcturians. So it's almost like I kind of like whatever. It's like whatever.
And then I'm like, whatever. So yeah, that's actually great. That's good. I like that part of it. Like you're like, whatever. So, cause that, I mean, my eyes start to just go like, what, cause I don't know. I'm still very, very earthy to a degree. Right. And so it's so interesting though, and just wild and
Right. And this
yeah.
is the thing. Who cares? No offense. As long as the message, I mean, really seriously, because
No,
what
I love
happens
that.
is a lot of spiritual people are like, I think that person's great because they do this, they channel that, they do this. In reality, it doesn't matter because in reality, it's what is the frequency and what are they embodying? Because that's what really matters in the long run. So anyone can just parrot information. They can just say, this is what I learned, blah, 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 blah. And I know this, I know that. And they just like spout out information. But that doesn't matter because knowledge is a dime a dozen. Who cares? But when they marry that knowledge with heart consciousness, it becomes wisdom. And then they embody the wisdom. And then they are imparting it on frequencies that cannot be spoken, can only be experienced.
Mm, I love that.
And they
That's
just told me
beautiful.
to say that. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I have a lot of gratitude. That was really beautiful. You said in reality, when you started to say that, what's reality?
Oh God. Now we go down the new rabbit hole.
Just sum it up real quick,
We um reality is a perception of where your consciousness lies and how you project it out into your world.
Okay. hmm This is fascinating because then even what you said about our timelines can, go in with that reality perception or whatever we want to call it. And, someone else has a completely different reality and timeline, even though we're right. I can see them, or something. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So,
But aren't they living in different realities? Think about
oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Many
Yeah.
times.
I mean,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So my sister, she lives in some sort of a reality that I can't even comprehend in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Most people would say it's a normal reality. But for
Mhm.
me, it's kind of like, well, you're missing out on so many things because you're in this other reality when there are other possibilities
Mm.
than
Mm.
what you are, where you are. And I love her. Don't get me wrong. She's awesome. She's a great person. And right. But she's living. Also, I see her higher consciousness and I see other parts of her that she is not even aware of.
Are you able to not judge another reality since it's all part of
That
whatever
is
has to
a
happen?
loving practice.
A loving practice. Well said. So much of everything is a practice to me. I mean, everything really is just a constant practice. So I love viewing things as a practice. So well said. Yes.
Yeah. I knew we vibed. That's my favorite thing. I'm like, everything's a practice. Just
Yeah,
practice it.
I agree. Absolutely. Um, what are some of your favorite daily practices? Do you like meditate? Like, I'm wondering kind of what you do on the reg?
Yeah. Well, I tell all my clients to clear their energy field all the time.
And what does that mean?
Energy.
Like, what does that look like?
I actually simple. Just see white light coming through your crown chakra, just rotoring all your chakras and holding, sacred space. The clearest. I don't mean white light. I mean like a clear iridescent light. It's not like a white, like a piece of paper. It's like see, to me, it's very iridescent. That's what and just seeing it clear out your energy field, clear out hooks and cords, clear out all your thought forms, clear out old energies that no longer fit, anything, because we're empaths. The thing is that we're picking up, you know, and the clearer your energy field, the stronger your energy field, and the strength of your energy field will also help with boundaries and also saying, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. So if your energy field is mucky, you're not going to discern easily. Like, wait a minute, that person on TikTok who's doing drive-through spiritual, manifestation tactics, I don't vibe with them because they don't feel authentic, but if your energy field is mucky, you're not going to feel that. So that's what I tell everyone else to do. I do clear my energy once in a while, but my energy is pretty strong now, right? It's hard to anything penetrates my field. I feel it really, really quickly. I used to practice. Want to hear a funny practice I used to do?
Absolutely.
I lived in Maryland. And there would be mosquitoes. This is like probably 15, 20 years ago. There were mosquitoes certain times of the year. And I would play a game to see if I felt the mosquito coming into my energy fields. And if I did, I just flicked it out. Like,
I love that. No, my husband's had malaria like 5 times, so I need to tell him that practice. He's very spiritually aligned, very tuned in, so I'm going to tell him.
of course, yeah.
Yes,
My own, yeah.
yeah, I know, I love that. Go ahead.
Oh, that was just a funny side note. But my own spiritual practice is I do meditate every day. I do 2 different types of meditations. I do the meditation of just being in I merge into oneness and just be. And then I also do my own activations all the time because I do a ton of activations. Been doing this since I think 2008. I think I started doing activations. So I was doing it before light language. I do light code activations, been doing it a long time before it was popular. Even people talked about it. I got the download and I just did it. I don't know.
What does that mean in activation exactly?
There's an activation is activating the light code frequencies to that for whatever's the intention. So
okay.
I don't do it. So it's not like I'm going zip, boop, 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 here's your light codes. It's not that at all. I channel the information and the Ascension Councils, the multidimensional beings, and source energy. It's also through creation, through sacred geometry, and through the light codex that codes or the blueprints, all these things I've channeled. So I don't even know how other people see it, but I see them literally as fractals, and it depends on what it is and what it's for. And I've done all sorts of activations. So it's hard to describe because it's not a definition. It's an experience. And most people are just blown away. They feel lighter, more attuned, more light, more loving, those types of things. So,
do you have any contact or connection with your future self? And what is your thoughts about future self?
well, there's no time and space.
There's no time and space. So we all of us exist at once, right? So
yeah, and that's hard to experience. I have connection with parts of my soul selves, and soul families. M- m- Um, there's no future self that is in this dimension right now.
I don't even know what that means exactly, but
Because because there's so for me, that the future self is the past self is the current self. So it's hard to say. And they're saying like nothing, there's no future self in this dimension. So I think what they're trying to say is that each of our future selves is the self, higher self. So you can't delineate it through past, present, future because there isn't only on our expression where there's space and time can there be a past or future self.
I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. No, I get it. Like we're like a point that is all the whole and it's all in there. We're just accessing it. Yes.
But I feel like I want to answer that question differently because what they're saying is what you're really asking is what other parts of the self, of what you perceive outside of the ego self, what other parts are you connected to? Absolutely. I have, we all have opportunities to be connected to every lifetime that has ever been experienced through our own souls, our own soul groups, and through other planetary systems. So, yeah, and
That's
that
a
is
lot.
portion, and
Yeah.
that's a lot.
It's a
Like
lot.
this, the problem is it's infinite.
Yeah, that is the problem. It's infinite. No, it's the awesome thing and the problem because it's just really, really hard for me to make any sense of infinity.
It is, and that's the thing with brain candy, and that's why look at it this way: what is in alignment with you now? And I did a whole channeling on belief systems. I can't wait for that book to come out because once I
Oh,
finished like 22 days of channeling, like going into trance channel in like 22 days, they were like, okay, and this is your next book. And I was like, what? Wait, whoa, I haven't even finished this one. And then they were like, and I'm editing the book and I'm like, I'm not changing anything. So
wow.
it's
That's so
really
cool.
yeah. So the thing is, our belief system says that we have to know what the future is or what the past is, so I feel safe in the now.
Mm. It all comes
And there
back
you
to
go
like
back to
feeling
that.
safe. Yes, like if we can
And
just
there you go back to
relax.
the fear. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I die tomorrow. I alive tomorrow. I mean, do I want bad things to happen to anyone or anything? Of course not. Of course not. But I'm not going to live in a frequency that is not in alignment with for what I want to create in my life.
Right.
And fear is not what I want to create in any way, shape, or form. And I can see what's happening and know it for because that's just what's right in front of me.
Mhm.
And I can either hate it or love it, be afraid of it or accept it. And there's those choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I needed to hear this today. I had a bit of a recalibration today, and I think I just got sucked in by my algorithm, and like being by myself for a little too long, that kind of thing. And I really needed to be more in touch with this today and just tap back into my own practices. So thank you so much for this. What did we miss talking about this? Is there anything we missed or anything that's on your heart that you maybe want to say before we go?
Um, the one thing that I always believe in is heart consciousness. And we talked a lot about that. And that is really where we're headed. And fear can overcome, but heart is your true navigation system. And heart from the understanding that you are more than your thoughts and more than what has happened to you, past, present, future. You're more heart consciousness. And also, the biggest thing is enjoy life. Even with spirituality, it's not that serious. It's really not. Have fun with it, play with it, enjoy it. Don't overcomplicate it. It's simple. We try to overcomplicate it because then our ego likes it. It feels like, ooh, now I get all the prizes because I figured it all out. And just enjoy it and have fun, because when you see it as a fun experience, then your soul will be more joyous through its whatever it experiences in this life.
Excellent advice. Yes, I am very aligned with what you just said. And so thank you so much. And if somebody is interested in working with you, perhaps as a client or maybe as a student, how can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, Melissa Feick. I'm on my website, melissafeick.com. My books as well. You can find them on Amazon. Yes.
I'll put links. I'm going to put links to
Yeah.
everything too. So,
Yes.
of course.
And hey man, meet me in the ethers. I'll be there. Hi.
Yeah, let's all meet in the ether. Absolutely. So thank you, Melissa. This is a joy. I feel like I could just talk to you and listen to you for hours. And I'm so grateful. I just love your easy, approachable philosophy and belief, or not belief, but teaching. And thank you so much, because I feel very drawn to this and to you and called to this. And so I hate things that are too complicated. It just makes my brain spin. So this is very nice. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I like simplicity too.
Yeah. A lot to be said for that. So anyway, I just hope everyone will go follow you, and just thank you so much. And when I'm in Sedona again, I'm going to definitely look you up.
Yes, please.
Yes,
Excited to meet you in person and come and hang out with me. Yes, please.
I will. Thank you so much. Is your head blown off? Mine is. My mind is blown. I just loved her, and I just loved that anyone can do it. That was why I bought this book at Barnes and Noble, like, I don't know, or months ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, just flipping it open, I was like, she's just sort of like, here, I'll teach you. You can do this. And just even talking to her, like, oh, it's right here. It's literally right here. How cool is that? Because that just aligns with so much of what we talk about on the show with everybody, really. It's like everything is right here within you, and we don't have to overcomplicate it. I love that she ended with that. We do. We have a tendency to get overwhelmed, overcomplicate. We don't have to do that. Sit, be still, clear your energy and your thought forms. And you are not your thoughts, right? You are not your emotions. They are just something going by. Anyway, what a badass. I am thrilled that we did that today. We went long, huh? That was cool. I could have kept going. I had a moment where I was like, ooh, marathon podcast. Yes. But I wanted to be respectful of her time and your time. And anyway, I freaking dug it. So I hope you did too. It's all part of what we're doing here, the spiritual, the testosterone, or whatever else we talk about. So anyway, Melissa Feick, I will have everything in the show notes so you can grab one of these books too. I would recommend just the first one. That's The Radical Approach to the Akashic Records. And there's another one that I recommend that I didn't ask her about, and it is called it's about the integral theory of everything and the science of the Akashic Records. It's super fascinating too. I'm kind of reading that alongside this. Super interesting. So follow the show, follow on YouTube, check out the new show, Anything But Mid, where we definitely take your overwhelm and we boil it down. We study a topic and then we say, do what you want. So my co-host Whitney is just so amazing, and I'm so excited. Probably when this comes out, we're about 15 episodes in, and it is so much fun and such a fun accompaniment to this show. And get to know Whitney with me. Let's see, what else do I need to share? Skyrock Sedona. I highly recommend it. We have a discount code in the show notes, and that probably isn't going to go on too much longer. So if you want to book a place in Sedona, that's a great one. Podcast Magician, thank you to them for all our editing. And I just love you so much. Connect with me. Respond to my newsletter if you haven't signed up for it, amyedwards.com.info. I'm working on getting that better too. I'm super excited to develop that in 2026. So you can always reply to that or DM me at Real Amy Edwards on Instagram. So I love you so much. You just keep shining bright. Keep inviting that iridescent energy right on into you to clear those chakras. Yes, yes, yes. Till next time. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.